Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Ali Alex here, aka Gilanime, aka so many AKs who guess Prison Break is back! Prison Break! Anyway, see, normally I do a lot of preparations for videos, even take some notes, but I just finished watching the first episode of Prison Break, and I have so many questions. And by questions, I mean that in a good way. Like, I have so many questions, it excited me, it brought back the passion I had for Prison Break in the first place, and overall, I think it's a great start. I have few concerns, but mainly questions, and it felt awesome. Now, as for me, okay, I want you to know some little background on me before I tell you stuff. One, I, and I know a lot of people will probably claim this, I am one of the biggest Prison Break fans in the universe, okay? And I mean that seriously. I have all four seasons on DVD. I have seen every freaking episode 3 times, at least some episodes 4 times. Okay? Therefore, if you're a fan of Prison Break, or even if you're somewhat interested, subscribe and comment below what you want me to talk about specifically, and also like or dislike depending on, and if you dislike, give me why you dislike and tell me how to improve my videos, and if you liked it, well, thank you, I appreciate the likes. Anyway, on to the episode. Couple of my concerns was kind of a timeline, and I really hope they don't mess the timeline up, because let me remind you Prison Break fans what happened on the last episode of season 4. Sorry, not the last episode, the second last episode, and I'll tell you something about the last episode which also concerns me. On the second last episode of season 4, you know, everything was solved. They gave Scylla to the UN, and everything was, everyone was freed, happy, kumbaya. And then the last 3-4 minutes, they had a flash forward to 4 years later. Sarah, Lincoln, Alexander Mahone, and Sucre go to Michael's grave with Michael's son, and you know, that's how the scene ends, and you know, everyone's sad, blah blah blah. Now that said, 4 years later. This episode they say 7 years later. Now I'm only going to assume when they say 7 years later, they meant from the original final scene and not from the flash forward scene. Okay, so and that was just now that's not really a big concern, and also I kind of just solved it because of the fact that it is 7 years, because they even said that Mikey, okay, Michael's son's name is also Michael, because they're, you know, thought Michael died, so obviously he named him Michael. There's nothing wrong with that. He is 7 years old. Therefore, every timeline fits. Now, here's one tiny problem. There are some Prison Break fans that say the events that happen after the last episode, after the second last episode, which means the last episode, that episode was when Michael went to the women's prison and, you know, freed Sarah. And then Michael sacrificed himself, and Sarah was free. Now, some fans say that that whole scene and that whole episode is not canon. Meaning, that whole finale, some people say, that's why some people actually separate it and call it, you know, Prison Break the Final Break. They say that's a whole separate movie. It's non-canon. Which means that never happened. While most fans do say, no, that is canon, that did happen, and it's part of the storyline. And if we go with that, then the timelines obviously fit, because that was, you know, during that 4 years of absence. Now here's my concern with that. If they go with the fans that say that those things happened, then they better address it. They better address the fact that everything happened. Like, somehow put a little, you know, we escaped from women's prison, or how did you survive getting shocked? Because remember, to help Sarah escape the women's prison, Michael had to do this thing with the electricity that, you know, they use some science mumbo jumbo, but basically he had to manually open the door so for Sarah to escape. meaning Michael never escaped with them. If they don't address that and they go with the fans that say, "Oh, that never happened. That's not canon," then they also have to address it. Also have to say, "Oh, they have to also have to make something where, oh, they didn't go to Boy in prison. He never got shot. Blah blah blah." But that really concerns me because they have to address it. I know most fans say that yes, Sarah did go to prison, and the last episode is part of the whole story. And majority of people are saying that, but the director better kind of, and the writers and directors better address this for the minority of people. And I'm one of the, I'm actually no, I'm part of the people that say that that did happen. But still, it has to. I'm not. Let's not leave out the minority. The people that say that that never happened. The directors or writers have to address that in an episode. Okay. Now, of course, this was just episode 1, and they say it's only going to be a 9-episode thing, and that's another thing concern. 9 episode. I have a lot of questions. Okay. Now, the director said they addressed it to the fans that they made it in a way that's logical. The reason Michael's alive. But here's the thing. 1, if Michael's alive, how did he survive the electricity thing? 2, if Michael's alive, where has he freaking been for all these 7 years? I mean, I know we saw him in the prison, but I don't think he's been in prison for 7 years. I think some other stuff happened. That's probably going to get addressed. That's not really a big concern. And another question is, this whole stuff with the tattoo. What's with the new tattoo? Blah blah blah. I mean, these are stuff that's obviously going to get answered in these 9 episodes. My main problem is the grave. And speaking of grave, how come Michael wasn't in his grave? Although I know that there are some Christian factions. I don't quote me on this, but I think Protestants, they have open caskets on a funeral. So I don't know what kind of Christian is Michael. So did they have open casket? Because if they did, then they clearly saw a dead body. But then in the very first episode, they kind of addressed that, and I'm so glad they did the first 5 minutes with me. And they're like, maybe you didn't see the right body. So those are some stuff that they need to take care of. Possibly someone could have faked a body because they did the same with Sarah's head, and you could fake a body. But then again, if they did fake a body, how come now in the new grave there's no fake body? Now there's a freaking doll. You know, these are my concerns, and these aren't questions like a fan would ask. These are questions a critic would ask. Okay, and that's the thing. I'm not saying you should try to appease all the critics. Obviously take care of the fans first. But there are also some skeptical fans. And those are people you have to watch out for. And I'm one of them. And there's a lot of people like that. Okay, I'm not saying, oh, I'm a genius. No one knows as much as me. No, there's a lot of people that have these concerns. And if they don't address these, then they have plot holes. And here's the problem: the first 4 seasons of Prison Break was flawless. I mean, not flawless as in like in terms of story. That's obviously opinion based and somewhat you can argue, if it was better than that show or not. But in terms of plot holes, there was none. I dare anybody to find me one plot hole. There was 0 problems in the first 4 seasons. Therefore, in this season, if they end up having a plot hole, then I'd be mad. I mean, I'm so glad they brought Prison Break back. I'm a huge fan. Like I said, I've seen every episode at least 3 times. I've seen this whole series. I have it on DVD with me. And so, sorry, I'm rambling because I was like, I gotta put my live freaking reaction right now. Just filter it in. Now, here's the problem, though. What if they don't really address all these issues and not like fan questions? Because fan questions are just fan questions. Fans are always gonna have questions. But issues are something you have to address. Because if you don't, then people are going to be pissed. Why'd you bring it back in the first place? You took a show that had 0 plot holes, and now you added a 5th season. Sure, yay, kumbaya, you made us happy. But there's full of mistakes. So you kind of ruined the series as a whole. And that's the thing. See, if a show is flawless and it ended, obviously fans are going to be sad. The show was great. Obviously fans are sad. But then if you added a new season and this one has plot holes, that ruins the whole show as a whole. Like if I were to rate the whole series of Prison Break, I would give it a 9.75. But if the season 5 has plot holes, for me, I have a personal rule whenever I criticize something. If something has a major plot hole, and I know some people don't understand the real meaning of plot hole, because some people say, oh, I'm gonna use One Piece as an example. Sorry for anyone who doesn't know. It's an anime. Just let's just use anime as an example. So, oh, no one can lift up a ship. Yeah, well, that's anime logic. So a plot hole is something that doesn't follow the logic of the actual show. Okay, not our world. So those plot holes I'm okay with because they're not even plot holes. I don't know what I'm to call it. Those are. But if an actual writing plot hole where one part of the story someone said this and another part of the story they said the complete opposite and it wasn't a lie or something like treachery because Prison Break is full of lies and treachery and it was actually a mistake by the writer, that's a plot hole and that's always a -3 for me. So I would give a show that I'm giving a 9.75 and many people say one of the greatest non-fiction show, not non-fiction but fuck, I'm rambling, one of the greatest real show. Like, there's not those like like Lost and shows with fake stuff. Because Prison Break, everything was real. There's no ghost or monsters. So one of the best real shows of all time, and you're gonna ruin it with the fifth season. So I really hope you don't do that. Other than that, I would actually. The first episode was amazing. I know right now I just pretty much shat on the fifth season and put all my concerns. But honestly, I give the first episode a 10 out of 10. And I okay, if this is your first time watching me, I'm actually very hardcore with my ratings. I don't give tens to anybody, okay, and to anything. So please, just trust me when I say I am extremely critical. But the reason I gave it a 10 out of 10 was because honestly, there's nothing wrong with this episode. It really excited me. It honestly, look at it. It just made me jump on, just put on a shirt, just jump on and put something on YouTube. So it really just quickly gave me energy to jump on, put something into. I would never do that. I need preparation. So it did what it needed to do. It excited me. It raised questions. It raised real questions and not just fan concerns, but actual questions. And I'm just curious to where it goes. I'm gonna be on this every week, and I'm gonna make a new video on this every week right after the episodes. If you have any questions or concerns about me, or if you want to talk about the show in general, put that in the comment section. I'll make separate videos about that too. I'm a giant Prison Break fan, and I would love to talk to other Prison Break fans because I only have like one friend that watches Prison Break. So, let's get the discussion going. Now let's go to the actual show. Kenil Autis. Okay, first of all, I like the whole throwback to the Greek thing because Michael in the first season did use Greek letters when he was making his tattoo, and Autis is a Greek word for nobody, which was funny twister. The person who sent it was nobody. And T-Bag was angry, like, what do you mean nobody? Like, no, his name was literally nobody. That's kind of a funny joke and kind of a tongue twister. And sorry, it's kind of a mystery for T-Bag. T-Bag is going to be a very big character in the show, apparently, which not really sad because T-Bag was a very interesting character himself. Kenil Autis. So that, as for the whole suit thing, I mean, Burroughs took the suit, wore it, and I mean, yeah, man, and he saw the word Kenil Autis. So somebody, I mean, C-Note did bring up a very good point that maybe Michael is in charge. It is possible that Michael does have power within Yemen, but I doubt Michael would send these clues and make them want to come all the way there for them to say no. That's kind of weird for me. So something must have happened that Michael kind of regrets those letters. And those letters was within the 7 years they were waiting for T-Bag. It is possible. It's also possible that Michael gave up, but no, Michael's not like that. But it's such a weird thing for me. Like, you spend so much effort trying to bring them back to you, and yet now that they're here, you just say no and you walk away. That's kind of a weird thing. That's one of these really intriguing. I was like, what the hell? Why are you doing this, Michael? Like, you put all this effort for them to come to you, and now that you just walk. That's something I was like, damn. But overall, I need to collect my thoughts, and next time I will make a more organized video. So far, this was a great episode, great mystery. Speaking of mystery, who do you think the organization is? I think there's only two possibilities, but I'm curious if anyone else thinks there's more. I think it's either the leftover company members, because I know General Kranz was executed, and so were a lot of company members captured. But I don't know if everything was exposed. I mean, unless they did spend the last 7 years to look for all the company members, the company could have been completely destroyed. I would think there were some small company members who want Michael dead, because company wasn't like a dictatorship country where what's it called? Company's not a dictatorship company where you have to listen to them. So obviously, some people could have just been literally loyal to General Kranz, even without the fact that they work for that company. They could have just liked him and liked what he was doing. So those people could be the ones that want Michael dead, or it could be some ISIS. I mean, this one is something I doubt. I think it could be just a new thing, a new threat within this whole ISIS and in the Middle East. But personally, I think it's the company, but I think it's possible for some ISIL thing to be part of it. That's something I'm really curious to. I only see these two possibilities. If you guys see any other possibilities, please tell me in the comment section below because I'm really curious. I can't think of anything else. Like I'm thinking of the whole from season 1 to 4, and I mean there was this Asian company where it was like the company and they were the original people who wanted to buy Scylla, but then they kind of, I mean they kind of just disappeared. Like they weren't really a big player. They were just another drug lord, and I mean they were kind of a plot device, but they also weren't that important. So I don't think it's like an Asian company because there was them from and then from similar to like the mafia. I mean, after John Abruzzi died and they captured him, I don't think they bring John Abruzzi back. I think that's season 2 stuff. I think is gone, and either way, they can't bring him back because they're gone. Literally, the mafia was defeated and everyone was captured. So it can't be that, and there's nothing else I can think of. Either just the only thing is the company because everybody else was either captured or killed. So the company is the only thing that still could be powerful enough to do this. Uh, it and I can't even think if it would be Gretchen. Actually, it wouldn't make sense as Gretchen because Gretchen at the end kind of turned over a new leaf and she was stayed in prison and liked Sarah. So I really doubt anything else. I don't think it's gonna be a company or just a new villain consist of ISIS or something. Please tell me in the comment section below. Now speaking of ISIS, I really hope they don't go social justice warrior on this, and because the fact that they brought C-Note. C-Note is now a Muslim, which is nothing wrong with that, freedom of religion. I'm a Muslim too, but I'm a Muslim critic as well, and so C-Note being a Muslim is nothing wrong, but then C-Note said, "Oh, I am, doing jihad, the real jihad, not what you see on the news." I mean, I don't want to get into a media argument here. And you know what? For any real Prison Break fan, thank you for watching. Have a nice day. The rest of this video is just going to be a small thing on this whole PC culture. So it's going to use Prison Break as an example, but it's not that important. So if you're a Prison Break fan and don't care about politics and PC culture and just social justice warriors and feminism in general, if you don't care about that, just leave the video. Thank you for watching. I will see you next week when I can review episode 2 much better. Now for the rest of us. The fighters. I am Ali Alex, the doctor is going to cure the cancer known as feminism, after all, so I have to address this. They went with that with C-Note, and I was like, okay, it's alright. It kind of concerned me. I'm like, oh, how Islam defense are you going to go with this? Because Islam has problems that needs to be fixed. And don't forget, I'm a Muslim. I pray nightly. But I know that the religion has problems that needs to be fixed and addressed, especially addressed before fixed, because you got to know there's a problem before fixing. And I hope they don't go with, oh, Muslims are good people. They're just a tiny bad, but Muslims are all good people. I hope they don't go with that. Really hope they don't. I mean, I don't hope. I hope they don't like. I mean, I know they're not going to bash Islam, and I don't really hope they bash Islam, but I really hope they don't randomly over defend it, because you know what? Simple solution. Just I hope they don't just address politics. You know, just say yeah, ISIS is bad, blah blah blah. Just leave it as that. Because if they end up going with the super defensive Islam's not hashtag not all Muslims, Muslims are great. I'm like, please don't ruin one of my favorite shows with this freaking political correctness. That's gonna be really annoying. And I really liked how I guess they guessed that fans like me would be concerned about this, with Sino saying, you know, not I am doing jihad, the struggle with it, not the. And then on that same episode, Sino after beating up all those guys, they were like, "Welcome to the U.S. prison system, bitch." So I like that he kind of defended this whole, you know, U.S. and give this small national. I'm not a giant fan of nationalism, but I'm an anti-nationalist. But I'm glad, you know, Sino did both. You know, he was a protector of Islam and he was a protector of American. You know, that is a really good combo. It's a balance of both. As long as they don't over, you know, scale this side and say, "Oh, Muslims are perfect. Islam is perfect." Hashtag not all Muslims. They're perfect, perfect. As long as they don't do that, it's perfect. I said the perfect 8 times. But just take, please, please, please leave politics out of this. Just stick with the show. It's beautiful. Just say ISIS sucks and go with the person. Just go with the actual show. Just forget. Oh, I really hope they don't go with the Muslim. Um, it's gonna be interesting with Michael, you know, being the leader of the rebels. Speaking of that, I don't know how much. I mean, I know they're not gonna bash Yemen, but I think they're gonna go with the pro-Yemen government angle. And I'm not really gonna talk about that because that's just a matter of opinion and political side that you're on. And I'm kind of a centrist left. Actually, socially I'm libertarian, but economically I'm centrist left. So that's something that it depends on what how political your political views are, how you feel about the Yemenis government. Just something we can all agree on, that fuck ISIS, right? We can all agree on that. So, and I'm not going to talk about the Yemenis government, but it seems like they're going on the side of the Yemenis government is good, because apparently Sheba hates, now, I mean, they showed a scene from the next episode and they said Sheba doesn't like, what's called, showed that Sheba doesn't like how Lincoln's kind of friends with this guy, and he is the guy who's one of the leaders, joiners of the rebels. I mean, I would get if she's angry if she thinks that he's part of ISIS, but if he's the rebels, no. If I don't, okay, that sounds like I support the rebels. No, no, no. There is obviously the rebels are bad too. Killers are bad. Okay, hashtag terrorists are bad. But I just hope they don't overly defend the Yemeni government either. And this goes back to my original concern of I hope they don't go over with defense of Islam. You know, Islam is perfect. Hashtag not all Muslims. I just hope they don't overdo it. Just say ISIS is bad. Don't touch on the politics. Just ISIS is bad, because we can all agree, whether you're liberal or Republican, whatever. We can all agree ISIS is bad. Okay. Anyway, thank you for watching. I really can't wait. This is a good show. And remember, my name is Ali Alex, and I will be the doctor who's going to cure the cancer known as feminist.